Kia ora mai koutou, nau mai hoki mai. Thank you for joining in for this live stream. It's been a really busy day, and but we've done a lot of work to prepare for this live stream, and there's been a lot of interest and a lot of questions around AI. Kia ora Betty. So I'm going to start by prefacing that this is not official advice from Te Wānanga o Aotearoa in terms of your studies. I'm not going to be providing official guidance in terms of whether you can use AI or not, because those policies and that are still being worked out. But I will offer some advice if you are using AI. And we're going to have a look at a few different AIs, and especially around the Rangahau space, but how to be creative with how we interact with AI. We put out a poll about 6 weeks back and asked for people to put in some questions around that they have around AI. So we're going to have a look at some of those. And if we get a chance, we'll have a little bit of a corridor around the ethics and the challenges of AI. So kia ora Betty, kia ora Cheryl, kia ora Paula. Happy birthday, every Leo who's having a birthday or had a birthday. And thank you for the birthday, wishes for the other day. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to share a few different tools that I use myself, and this is specifically around Rangahau, and then we're going to have a look at what can be accessed in the wānanga and why you might want to use that as opposed to other tools, and how to get the best out of it. So the very first tool that I'm going to show is a tool called Elicit. So I'm going to jump over to our screen. I'm going to show the webcam because I'm not too sure you'll see me react in real time when I bugger things up. Okay, so Elicit is a tool that has both free and paid tiers. We're just going to show the free one. I'm going to sign in because I do have a sign in, but I can't actually remember what it is. I hope I was signed in via Google. Okay. Nope, I'm actually signing up, but kei te pai, this will show us what we do. Okay, and I want the basic free plan. Free, full name. Te Toyo Tour. That's what you get from me. Continue. Okay, so Elicit is around helping you find research papers. Yeah, one job, Cheryl. And yeah, Elicit's about finding how to find research papers, and also how to ways that you can help structure your research. So I'm going to ask a research question. The free version will give us some answers and it'll create a report for us, but it will stop at the first X number of entries. So this is a little bit like AI in Google Scholar. So I've got a question here. I'm going to paste it in because you don't want to see me typing. So I want to look at culturally sustaining pedagogies with the use of technology to amplify, and my terrible spelling, the transmission of knowledge in Indigenous communities. Let's explore whether need for cultural knowledge has been eroded by technological advancements and where it has been amplified. So it's going to evaluate the strength of my question. And so it's got good research question considering adding these elements for better results. So specificity. So how do culturally sustaining digital technologies impact knowledge transmission in Indigenous communities of the Pacific Northwest? So that's just a example of being able to specify a location, adding methodology, outcome measure. Okay, but I'm just going to go with what I've got. Okay, so fast is going to screen the top 50 sources that it finds, and it's going to extract from up to 10 sources. So I will get it to generate the report. Okay, it's going to go through this, and it's going to look for publicly available research papers that look at my kaupapa or my question. Okay, and it's going to pick out the top 10 and it's going to align them for me and generate a report around that. And that's kind of one of the areas where I can start in my actual my Rangahau in this. If I was doing a PhD, I might pay for a generate report failed. Okay, let's retry. Okay, I might look at paying for a subscription to this. It's one of our friend Dr. Byron Rangiwai's or Dr. Byron Rangiwai's favorite tools, and he's the one that showed it to me. So let's just come back to the beginning. Okay, we can just ask it to find papers, but probably one of the things that I want to get across today is that we interact with AI different than we might interact with Google or search engines, even Google Scholar. Okay, so we're asking research questions. So you can fix some of these spelling mistakes, even though AI is good at. Okay. Examples of. Okay. In this one, it's just going to find the most relevant papers for us. Okay. Here, citations, the papers, we can click on them. It gives us a little blurb on it, and then I can click on the source and find the source of that article. So that's the find papers section of Elicit. Back. Okay. Summary of the top 4 sources. I've got to upgrade to get more. Okay. So it's just done the summary, but it's given me 10, I think. And once again, I can click on it, get a little summary. If it's what I want, I can go to the source. So it's much more of a deep dive into research papers and that than the likes of Google Scholar, where in that I might just write in critical pedagogy with technology, and it's going to find me everything that's got the words critical pedagogy and technology, or culturally sustaining pedagogies. Okay. Another similar tool is Google's Gemini, and a lot of the AI tools have a research mode. Google's Gemini's research mode is free at the moment. So I'm going to paste in pretty much exactly the same question. And let's see what we get in response, and I'll fix my spelling mistakes. Sorry, I'll stop that. Click on deep research. Okay. And so research with your own files, I can upload files with this. Okay, so I've got a paper here that I might upload. And let's run that. Okay. Okay, so it's going to give me it's going to give me pretty generic kind of stuff, but cultural survival. So it's got me links and stuff, but the deep research is going to dive in a lot deeper. It's going to say, is this what I want? Research and finds, define. Okay, so I'll then start research and we'll go through and do that. I was at an Apple event today and they mentioned Dr. Byron. Okay. So here we have understanding critical pedagogies, traditional knowledge transmission, technologies, dual impact. It's research websites. It's the file I've uploaded. Okay. It's given me basically a research plan or a kickstart into how I've done it. I don't even think it's finished yet. So this can be a really, really cool tool to investigate your research kaupapa. I'm going to have to caveat all of this though. When we use free versions of AI, we are more likely to get hallucinations, wrong answers, than when we have a paid plan. Now, regardless of whether we're paying or we're using free versions, it's a concern. It's a realistic kind of thing that happens. That it can make things up. AI's number one job is to fulfill your request, okay? And if it can't do that, or if it runs out of computing power to do that, it can make things up. So whatever we do with research, we have to be able to triangulate, cross-check it, have a critical kind of mind to what it's provided us. So this is just a start, okay? This is giving us almost like a cheat start to resources that we might be able to find that are going to help us. Okay. Okay. So ChatGPT has a research mode. Microsoft Copilot has a research mode for its paid version. And there are others as well. So regardless of what we use, there are deep research. When AI first came out a couple of years ago, it was a fixed set of data that wasn't changed. It was trained on that data, and that's all it is. What has happened with AI recently in the last year or so is that it's now going out to the internet to find data as well. So it's mixing that data that it's been trained on with data that it can find. Okay, and that's made it a lot more powerful, especially in that Rangahau kind of space or that research space. Okay, so that's doing its thing. But I wanted to also show another tool that Google offer for free, which is Google Notebook LM. Yep, don't forget to chicken in whānau, thank you. Okay, so I'm logged into Google with my Google account, so I'm going to try Notebook LM. Now, this is another tool that's designed specifically for research or study. So I'm going to create a new notebook. Now, this doesn't have to be about academic research. This might be about research for a child that might have a special learning difficulty. It might be research for a community or a whānau that want to do something. So when I say Rangahau research, I'm not necessarily narrowing it down to academic research, even though the kind of examples that I'm doing are kind of academic research based. But here in Notebook LM, we provide the sources to it. We don't generally go and ask it to find the sources. So we're going to upload sources. We can upload, we can find sources on our Google Drive, Google Slides. We can copy and paste text. We can choose websites or YouTubes. So I've got a few files that I've got for it. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to upload. Okay. It's going to upload and it's going to look through them and scan the text and start to understand the text. I'm going to add more. So I want to add a website. This one here I'm going to add. So I'll copy that. Come back to here. I'll add that. I'll add another website. Very famous educator blog with very handsome kids. Okay. And click on insert. Okay, so it's going to do them. And then I've got a number of YouTube ones as well. So I'm going to click on YouTube and I'll paste a few YouTube links. So it's actually going to scroll through the YouTube clip. It's going to use the automatic transcription that YouTube does to videos anyway. So when you click on a video and you ask for closed captioning, to realize like closed captioning, especially on words that might not be English, can be a bit of a challenge. So we keep that in mind. Oh, wrong one. That was just those 2 YouTube clips. I don't want my. Okay. So it's got a kind of a summary for me already based on everything that it's scanned in here. So culturally responsive and sustaining pedagogy for diverse learners. So I haven't put that in at all. These sources collectively discuss culturally responsive and culturally sustaining pedagogies, emphasizing their importance on affirming students' diverse cultural and linguistic identities. So now we've got those sources in, we can do a number of things. We can add notes, we can get a mind map, we can get an audio overview. Oh, there's a new video overview. Generate and explain a video presented to you by AI, English only. Oh, I'm going to have a look at that. Last time I looked at this, it didn't have the video, but I'm going to do an audio overview. It's going to take a little bit longer to do that, so I'm going to start that first. Basically, what it's doing is it's creating a podcast for me, and a podcast that we can interact with. I'll get it to generate a mind map, and then the reports. It can do a briefing doc, a study guide to help me study further, frequently asked questions, timeline. So generate a timeline of the sources. When did each thing get published? Okay. So let's generate a study guide as well. Okay. Notebook LM is probably one of my favorite tools for study. I've used it for a number of things, including finding learning opportunities for my daughter and little things that it can do. Looks like we've finished our study guide, so let's have a look at that. Here's a comprehensive study guide. Okay. Okay. Including a glossary of terms. Very, very cool. Come back to Studio. Oh, it's a study guide. Let's have a look at the mind map. Okay, definition of core principles. Strength-based approaches. Culture is dynamic. Beyond acceptance, tolerance, broader sense of culture, additive outcomes, critically enriches strengths. Really, really cool stuff. Okay. And once again, it doesn't have to be for specifically for academic type of study. So as I go through the mind map, it's jumping to the information that's provided in the chat. Let's come back to Studio. Our audio is still generating, but let's start typing. Are there examples of technology impacting culture in a negative way? Okay. So we're interacting with all of these sources that we've provided. Okay. So it's like it's collected those sources, it's created the body of knowledge, and now we're interacting with those sources specifically. On audio overview, let's see. Yeah. Who developed culturally sustaining pedagogy? That's just some sample questions. So pretty simple ones that that you might ask. Yeah. Yeah. So Google LM, if I want to, I can add more, I can discover. So it will look for the sources that I've got and it'll find other sources that I might want to add. A really, really cool tool. Once again, being aware that with the use of AI, we need to cross-check. Yes, when we upload a document, that document is now added to their database. That's why all of the things here that I'm putting into this tool are available online anyway. So they're all papers that I've been able to freely download. They're all available. And it's a really, really important question. Thank you, Cheryl. I'm not going to put in my own writing here and get it to analyze it. Okay. That's something totally different. But when I have a kaupapa that I'm trying to learn or understand, I can put all the sources that I can find in here, all of the information, and I can then ask questions about it and get a really good dissemination from it. If I have challenges reading, this is where the audio overview is going to come in. I think I'm going to leave that running because it does take a little while, and I'll come back to it. Once again, there are paid versions of Google LM or Notebook LM, but at the moment it's free to everybody. Because I'm using a free version, I'm not going to get priority in terms of the computing power that gets assigned to it. Okay. And if there's a lot of people online at the moment, the Europe's online at the moment, I might be bumped down the list of people that are paying. So I'm going to show you the Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft Copilot is based on ChatGPT. So it uses the ChatGPT model. It's got Microsoft's own kind of shaping. But if we log into our Wānanga account, we get some extra kind of security that we don't get if we're just using it on a free account. Okay, it's still just the free version that, well, actually, you have to have a account, a paid account, Office 365 account with the ChatGPT, with Copilot, even if it's a personal one, but to use Copilot, but we have access as tauira in the wānanga. So all I do is come to office.com, okay, and then I log in with my tauira ID and my tauira password, and then I can have access to Copilot. Microsoft are really pushing it, and well, all of the AI companies are really pushing the use of AI because they want to get us locked into their systems. AI does cost a lot to maintain and run. Every time we do a query, there's ethical considerations to this. So the fact that we get pushed to use it all the time, the fact that Google now has AI in its search results popping up first, they really want us in their systems and using their systems. Okay, so Copilot, as I said, does have ChatGPT in the background, but it has its own safeguards and rails and stuff like that. This little icon over here, I might see if I can get my, up in the top right, we've got enterprise data protection applies to this chat. I'm going to click on that and I can have a read. Because we're using a wānanga login, this is more protected than if we're just using a free version of any other AI. Even paid versions of other AI won't protect our knowledge, or it can be used to retrain AI. It can be used to assess AI's, assess AI's performance and stuff like that. In saying that, although we've got a bit of protection, I still wouldn't be putting in any of my whānau knowledge, any of my pepeha, any of the knowledge that I do not want anyone else to, any digital company to know. But let's have a look at how we might ask questions. Okay. One of the parts that got asked was how can we keep safe using AI in learning, and this is one of the ways. But once again, every AI is open to lying and can be manipulated in a lot of ways. But once again, we also have to treat AI differently than what we would treat searching in Google. So here I've got a few prompts that I'm going to put in. So first one, and I guess the focus on these ones is be really specific with AI. Get it to do things. Treat it like almost like a person, or a librarian, or an assistant, or a friend who you ask for advice without telling them that all your deepest, darkest secrets. But this one, I'm planning to start a business based on skills I have, but need to attract the widest audience. I do crafts, but worry the craft market will limit me to local only opportunities. Give me 5 business ideas centered around crafts and list the pros and cons for each so I can evaluate them. So let's have a look. Online craft store, Etsy, Shopify, sell handmade items, global reach through online platforms, cons, high competition, okay, time consuming, order fulfillment, platform fees and shipping logistics. Great. Craft subscription boxes. I never thought of that. Curate and send monthly boxes of DIY kits, materials, or finished products. That's probably a really cool idea, especially in Aotearoa. I could combine with other crafters and we could curate boxes all together. Online craft courses or tutorials. That's a cool idea. That's one I had thought of. Personalized or custom craft services. Offer bespoke items like wedding decor, personal gifts. That's cool. Craft blogging and affiliate marketing. Okay. Would you like help narrowing these down based on your specific? So let's go. Tell me more about craft subscription boxes. Okay, so generating lots of business ideas, being able to test ideas, get the starts of business plans, stuff that you can then copy out, because we can easily copy. Where's our copy? Here, copy response, and then we can paste it into a Word document, for instance. Now, if you've got an assignment saying find a business idea and do the pros and cons, you do not want to just copy this and put it in, and that's your assignment. Okay, because your Kaiako A is going to ask you questions on it, but they're also going to be able to see that a lot of this might have been created by AI, basically because AI has a particular style. But the other thing is that you're cheating your own learning. Okay, the idea of AI is to shortcut some of that first stuff, some of that ideation stuff, help you spark those ideas, and then let you dive in and get into the meat of it. Okay? But just a different way that you might interact with AI. Let's look at something different. This is more centered around maybe the academic Rangahau. So, I am preparing this paper for, I'll say a paper on technological challenges in Indigenous communities for submission to online publication. Let's debate the topic. I have to change this because I just realized that I did have a bit that I'd written, but I can't remember where that is. And you take the position of technology is only good for Indigenous communities. Give me a series of 3 challenging questions, one at a time, and ask me to answer each one in turn. Cite your sources. At the end, provide feedback on how I responded to your questions. So I'm being really, really specific with it and not just giving it one bit of or one question or prompt. I'm giving it a series of them based on an activity that I want to do. I just need to provide a little bit more detail because I haven't given it my side of it. We'll take the position that technology has the ability to erode cultural capital. Okay, so be really specific. Be in depth with how you treat AI. Okay? Imagine you get a study buddy. You can do that. Okay, question 1. If technology enables Indigenous communities to preserve endangered language through AI-driven documentation and revitalize efforts, how can this be considered a threat to cultural capital rather than a reinforcement? UNESCO report on technology said it was a two-edged sword. The use of AI without data sovereignty considerations could lead to the loss of ownership of that knowledge. Okay, let's not worry about spelling mistakes. Okay. Okay, so I've been through this a number of times and it gives you really, really good feedback. So if you're having to come up with an ethics proposal, you could do this to put your proposal in or put elements of your proposal in and then get it, treat it like a kayako that's going to challenge your assumptions or challenge your beliefs. Okay. Question 2. So it's going to do that. I won't carry on with this because we could get really in depth with it. Okay. So it's just a different way that we treat AI. Another tip that I got given a little while ago is to let me have a look. Here's the tip. When you're asking something of AI, get it to ask you questions back until you think it has enough, until it thinks it has enough knowledge to answer that question. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I am studying technology's impact on Indigenous people in the Pacific. Help me create a study plan. Ask me questions until you think you have enough information to create the study plan. Okay. So yeah, it's asking me a bunch of questions. Once I have your answers, I'll create a structured study plan with weekly goals, recommend resources and suggested activities ready when you are. Okay. So work with AI. Don't treat it like Google, like it's going to come up with the right answer straight away. Right, let's jump back into our Notebook LM. Okay, it's created our little podcast. So let's go into our podcast.
Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. If you look around you, whether it's a classroom, maybe a community space, or even just scrolling on your phone, you're constantly seeing this incredible mix of languages, traditions, different ways people see the world. It's really fascinating, isn't it?
It really is.
But here's the big question, I think. How do we genuinely embrace all that? And like uplift it, move beyond just saying, oh, diversity is nice, to actually, nurturing it.
That's exactly what we're getting into today. We're taking a deep dive into this.
So I'll fast forward a bit.
It's complex and layered for everyone.
Exactly. Asking about their insider spaces, what it means to belong to those groups, it just reveals the richness and multiplicity of identity.
Okay, so those are some specific examples from literacy classrooms. But here's where it gets really interesting for me. You mentioned that even though CSP looks different in different places,
yeah, really cool. Now here's another cool thing. There's an interactive mode.
That's right.
So I'm going to click on that. it's going to use my microphone. It'll ask permission to use my microphone first if I haven't given it permission already. Okay. So I'm going to play the audio, and then I'm going to click in
Welcome, curious minds,
join.
to the deep dive. If you look... Oh, hey there, what's up?
Okay, so here, does it have permission to use my microphone while I'm visiting the site? Tell me, here we go.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Tell me the difference between culturally sustaining pedagogies and culturally responsive pedagogy.
That is an excellent question. Actually, that's exactly what we wanted to dig into today.
You're jumping right to the heart of it, which we love.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Culturally sustaining pedagogy is really an evolution.
It builds on what's called culturally relevant pedagogy.
Think of culturally relevant pedagogy, or CRP, as teaching that encourages students to share their experiences.
And their cultures, especially those often left out of mainstream settings.
It's about making the classroom relevant to their lives.
Here's where it gets really interesting and the shift happens.
Culturally sustaining pedagogy, or CSP, goes a step further.
It doesn't just respond to culture.
It actively aims to perpetuate and...
Okay. So once again, Google Notebook LM, really, really cool tool when you're diving into something to get it to disseminate information for you. It's really, really awesome. And so those are the kinds of tools that I use in my study or just in my day-to-day life. And depending on what I'm using, I'll use that. There was another part that came through when I asked for questions about AI is what AI app is good for designing Māori designs. And that's probably where we need to look at some of the ethics around what AI does and how it does. Okay. AI companies right across the world have just sucked in information, and a lot of it is stolen or has been taken without our knowledge. Okay? So there's court cases going on at the moment about whether AI companies are allowed to use that, whether it be images or written works or music. And the big AI companies are really just kind of blatantly saying, yep, we think that it should be available to everybody, that we we know that we've taken this data, we haven't asked for permission, but too bad. So there's a ethical consideration within ourselves, especially when we're dealing with Indigenous knowledges, whether it be Māori, Pacifica, Indian, South American, wherever, okay, is do we want AI to use or to generate images or content that may have been taken from Indigenous artists and or writers or creators. We know how many like tāmoko artists are putting their stuff on Instagram because it's their method of gaining clients and getting their name out there. But all those images are being taken and then getting used to train AI. I will show you this post that I did within the Wānanga last week. Hopefully I can get these pictures up. Okay. This was from 3 years ago when I asked AI to create an image of a Māori woman standing in front of a marae. Okay. This is what it created. Okay. And then last month I asked it to create a picture of Maui standing in front of a marae talking to his people, as I was using it to show examples of, actually it was for one of our live streams, an interactive activity where I had the retelling of how Maui slowed down the sun. So this is the change in quality in 3 years' time. Okay? An artist or a carver, master carver, anyone that's really familiar with Māori art and Māori stuff will know that that's not a real carving and that's not a real meeting house. There's things that are wrong. But other people will think that's great. And it's a huge jump from that. And even last year, when we'd asked for Māori things, it would give us things that were Native American, Inuit, all kinds. Here, there are still some examples of that, okay? But it's a lot better. Now, it's down to every person whether they want to get AI to do that. I think it's a personal choice. But if there are artists that we can support, if we have whānau members that are able to create art for us, is that who we should be supporting first? Okay. The other consideration is the fact that the power, the resources used to generate AI content are huge. There's wildly changing estimates about how much power is used to generate AI and how much is going to need to be used, even so far as AI could be using half of the world's generated power by 2030. We don't know exactly how that's going to be. We do know that server farms take a huge amount of raw materials out of the ground to mine to create computer chips and create other materials that are used in servers. They use a huge amount of energy to run. They use a huge amount of water to cool everything. Some of those questions about the environmental impact are being solved by technology. And I think there are genuine positive, huge positives of AI in the field of science, medicine, and what we can kind of do. And of course, we're going to play around with AI because it's available to us. But without clear, strong, and ethical governmental regulation, which it doesn't look like is going to come anytime soon, then sometimes it's up to us to kind of have those ethical considerations ourselves and decide, is this something that I want to use, or do I have other options? Maybe it is that I want to use it, and I will kind of control my use, or I'm going to only use it in these situations. If we do use AI in any of our academic mahi within the wānanga, say we do generate an image for what we want to help explain something that we couldn't draw ourselves, then when we put it into our studies, or when we put it into our aromatawai or anything that we're going to share and upload, then what we need to do is we need to say it was created by AI, by ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or DALL-E or Midjourney or whatever the AI tool might be, and provide using the prompt such and such. Okay. So that's the best way to actually be both ethically honest about AI within study, but yeah, realize that when we're using AI to design Māori things, the data that has been used to generate that image or generate that content is based on data that has been taken by the AI companies from real artists, real creators, from our whānau. Okay. The other thing too is like, as Māori, probably around, it was about 4 years ago, we were having conversations of do we want everyone in Aotearoa to learn Māori? And with two camps saying, yes, it's great. Other camps saying, once we have everyone learning, then we lose the language. We lose control of it. AI's changed the game. We've already lost the language. The language is in AI. We can ask it questions in Māori and get it to answer us in Māori. But the language is only part of fluency in terms of any kind of language or skill. Okay. So we've lost the language part of it. We have probably lost the tikanga in a number of ways, but what AI doesn't have any concept of is whakapapa. So yeah. So that's kind of the ethical kind of considerations to understand. There's a environmental impact to use AI. There's a humanistic in terms of the training of AI impact. There are social impacts like, am I going to be more advantaged than you because I can afford the $20 US a month for the full version of, or the pro version of ChatGPT? Am I going to be less advantaged than the person that is able to pay the $200 a month? Things like that. Like the normal, what we've struggled with digital technologies for a long time. Who has access and how do they get it, and who decides? Those kinds of things. So there's a lot that we need to consider with regards to AI and how we use it. But it is here. And if we are going to use it, let's use it ethically. Let's use it to accelerate or to shortcut some of the steps that we might find difficult ourselves. Let's be clever with it. Let's teach ourselves how to use it effectively so we're not asking it a million questions, and that we're being efficient with its use. And that means playing around, of course, because that's part of the learning as well. But understand how AI works so that we can have a critical mind to the outputs that it creates, and realizing that it's not the magician. It's going to make mistakes. It's going to be wrong in certain cases. And if we just accept it for the truth, then at some point we're going to get burned by it. So those are the kind of tools that I use. I hope that has been really useful. I do use AI a bit. I usually use it to jumpstart things, give me ideas, or start something that I can then adapt. I get it to grab information, and I'll only put, I don't put anything into AI that I don't want it to be able to see. And I'm very careful about where I put AI. Put stuff into AI. So I use the wānanga systems. I won't use, I won't put in anything into any wānanga stuff into AI that isn't wānanga controlled. Nor will I put anything into AI where the person who might have created it hasn't published it publicly, or hasn't given me specific permission to use AI in that thing. So those are my kind of guidelines ish. Like there's more, and it's complex, but those are some of the considerations that I think are really needed. So hopefully that was interesting. I know we are limited to just an hour on these because YouTube does cut us off after an hour. And if you have more questions, please feel free to forward them, either message on the Facebook, so facebook.com/TWOA Te Toi o Tua. I think you can send messages here. You definitely have our Te Toi o Tua email. You can email Te Toi o Tua at twoa.ac.nz or the Te Toi o Tua at gmail.com. We will follow up with some AI soon. next week we're not going to. Next week we're going to have a look at pictures and just some simple editing of pictures with the tools that are available on our phones and freely available, what they actually mean, so you can understand the tweaks that you can make to pictures without just going through a million filters. And then we might revisit AI and some of the other fun stuff that is available with AI that we can get it to do. Yeah, it does make research fun. It does help shortcut a lot of things. It helps disseminate information really well and give us really good kind of accelerated understanding of kaupapa. So I appreciate all those comments. But yeah, that's cool. My brain is done. I've been working since 6, so pretty much nonstop. But have a great week, whānau. Thank you very much for joining us. I do really appreciate you all joining in on these sessions. Yeah, we'll look forward to next week. And yeah, be well, be safe, and have a great weekend. Tricky tip. In the outro video, now I can't stop singing that I'm going to have. Oh, that piece of art on the wall behind me. Definitely. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you